What is up, guys? It's Dan the Man, and today I'm back with the last round of the Spring UF Chess Club Championship. And currently, I have a score of 2.5 out of 4, getting a rather lucky draw against Quintin in where we were down a pawn, and our position was pretty cramped, but we ended up splitting the point after he made a mistake to trade bishops and among other things. So go ahead and check out that video if you haven't. And in the last round, I'm playing against a kid, maybe a sibling of a student here at UF, by the name of Soham Patel, rated 1864. And he actually has a score of 2.5 as well. So we have the same score here. And I was hoping to get, I was hoping to at least draw or win so I could have more than 50%. So let's just go ahead and see if that happens. So last game of the tournament, I'm kind of tired, so I don't really care too much, but in my mind, I'm hoping to get a draw or better. So anyway, e4, Sicilian is what he plays. And he actually goes into my favorite line with d6, because seasoned viewers will know that I play the canal attack in this line. And I trade the bishops here, castle, and reason I like this is because it's a very flexible opening. It's pretty easy to learn. It's pretty easy to play as white. Like right now, there's a ton of options to defend the pawn on e4. You can play knight c3, d3, rook e1, which is what I opted for, or even queen e2. It's just a lot of openness in how white can play this. So I played rook e1. He played g6, kind of going into a dragon, but not quite an actual dragon because of the canal attack. It's kind of like a fusion of the two openings. I played d4 to try strike in the center. Engine preferred c3 to back it up a bit, but d4 itself isn't that bad. So he takes. I bring my queen out. He plays bishop to g7. I develop the knight to c3. He castles. I play h3, not really knowing what to do. I'm just playing a prophylactic move and passing the ball back in black's court and asking what they're going to do. He played the move a6, probably wanting to go b5 at some point and try to play on the queen side with like rook c8, knight b6, or knight c5, something like that. I played bishop to e3, just developing, and also wanting to bring my queen to d2, where I can build a battery and try to trade off the bishop on g7. So if you imagine my queen on d2 and my bishop going to h6, I would be offering a trade of bishops on g7. So that's my plan, which is a common theme in many openings. So he played rook c8. I played queen d2. He played b5, and his threat is to push the pawn to b4, which would attack my knight on c3, and after my knight would move, he would take on e4 with the knight on f6. And I don't want to allow that because my position would crumble. So I play the move a3 to prevent that. He plays knight b6, and if that knight sinks its teeth into c4 like this, if the knight ever lands here, I'm pretty much positionally cooked. So I don't even think about it here. I just snap the knight off the board. Bishop takes b6, queen takes b6. I go queen e3. I wasn't really sure what to do here. I mean, I could have done many things. I could have brought the rook to d1, as the engine's suggesting. I could have played e5. I could have played knight d4. Even done a waiting move with like rook c1 or something. I don't know. But there were I didn't really know. I just picked something. So I played queen e3, wanting to go into an endgame. It's been a long day. I kind of want to go into an endgame where the game is less complicated. But he didn't want that. He played queen b7, keeping the queens on the board. I played e5 to open the center and force some trades to happen. He played d captures on e5. I take back. He plays e6 just to solidify his center a bit because the e7 pawn might have been vulnerable. I play rook on a to d1, and here black is marginally better. It's pretty much equal, but black is slightly better here. He plays rook on f to e8, and here we each had about like 12, 13 minutes. I played rook d3 with the idea of doubling on the d file and also just maybe solidifying the knight on c3, adding some more defenders. He played knight d5 here, and I didn't want to take because that would open the rook on e8 to attack my knight on e5. So what I do here is I play the move queen f3, which pins the knight to his queen b7, so he can't move the knight because I would take on b7, the free queen. So here he plays the move queen to c7 to get out of the pin. And here the engine's saying to go into this line with knight takes d5, takes, and I thought this is just impossible to play because the knight on e5 is hit 3 times. I can't retreat because my own pieces are in the way. But the engine finds a creative move, rook c3, counterattacking the queen, and then after the queen moves to b7, the engine's saying to trade on c8 and then just alleviate the pressure here. But I didn't do that. I went queen g3 instead. That way I get out of... I defend the knight again and maybe can trade queens, but since the queens are aligned again. Here he plays bishop takes e5. A pretty big mistake. He should have just kept the pressure because now the game is closer to a draw since his powerful bishop's off the board. So here I play rook takes e5. He takes on c3. I was pretty happy to see this. Rook takes c3. Queen to d7. It's just an equal game, essentially. Here I make a mistake. I should have played rook e to c5. The reason I went queen e3 is because I wanted to go queen h6 or something. I kind of wanted to like maybe put the queen here, bring the rook to h5, some sort of attack. I don't really know. But I played queen e3. It's a bad move because after rook takes c3, queen takes c3, and no human would double their pawns. Suddenly, black is having some fun because after rook c8, problem is he's hitting my queen, and if my queen moves somewhere, he can, in most cases, take on c2. And the other thing is his queen is going to d1, which would fork my king and pawn, so I'm going to lose a pawn. And I first wanted to go rook c5 with the idea that if he trades, I take back. But then I saw this doesn't work because of this annoying check, and then he goes back and wins my rook. So I realized rook c5 wasn't possible. And I saw that, oh, I'm just losing a pawn. Dang. Alternatively, I was thinking to go counterattack his a-pawn with the idea of rook takes and queen takes a6, but my back rank is just way too weak here. My king is way too weak. He can play queen d4 here to hit the rook and aim at the f2 pawn, and I can try like rook e3, but then queen takes b2 is probably going to be played. It's not the best move, but the point is black is much better here, and they're up a pawn, so this line would have been worse for me. So what I do here is I don't lose a pawn, but I go into a worse rook endgame. I didn't really have much choice. So I play queen d3, and I know this endgame's bad for me because after he takes, I just have an isolated d-pawn, and it's pretty weak, and this is just a bad endgame for me. In fact, he plays rook c1 check, king h2, and then he just goes rook c2. It's a common theme here to check on the back rank and then go up a square to fork the pawns. So here's forking the b and f pawns. I go a4. I'm kind of hopeless here. I didn't really know what to do. And I only had a few minutes on my clock, so I'm just trying to hope for a draw here. He takes on a4. I go rook a5. He takes on f2. I take on a4. He takes on b2. I take on a6. And it might look drawn-ish because, you know, these g and h pawns cancel out. So it's essentially an e and f pawn versus an isolated d pawn. But he's just up a pawn, and my pawn's weak. And the thing is, when he goes rook d2, he's just making my rook very passive. I have to defend it. And then he just starts to bring his king in, and he's going to attack my rook, force it to move, and then he's just going to push his pawns. I knew this was losing, but I wanted to try my best here. So I moved the rook down to keep defending the pawn. He just mobilizes his f-pawn. I go with h4. He goes with h5, just shutting down any sort of play I have. He also is low on time. He also had like 3 minutes. So I was hoping for some sort of time scramble blunder. So I just shuffle king h3. He goes e5. This is totally lost. I go rook d5. And here, with like a minute on the clock, he plays e4. And e4 blunders into a draw. So I told you, the time pressure got to both of us. Because here, I was thinking about taking on e4, but I only had like a minute. I didn't take on e4. I thought that this endgame is just lost for white. Because I thought, well, black's going to win my pawn. And what am I going to do? If I go here, he takes. But then I realized when I'm looking at the engine, I go king f4. And even though black's up a pawn, my king's getting in here. So he has to stop that. And then I go up. And then I just play. And then he's just passive. He can't make any progress. King f6. I can go like g3 here. And yeah, black just can't make any progress because my king is always threatening to infiltrate. But it's kind of hard to, you have to, your instincts, you have to validate your instincts. And I didn't think this was good. I'm like, well, I don't want to go into a losing pawn endgame. At least when we keep the rooks on the board. And I kind of wish I took because I was losing either way, so I might as well have tried something. But here I play d4 with low time. I kind of wish I took the pawn. But here I play d4 because I thought the pawn endgame was losing. And this is just bad. I was hoping he'd push this pawn and blunder a fork with rook e5, but he didn't do that. He played rook d3 check. I block. And now this is, again, totally losing. I do manage to get his g-pawn, but he's, again, still up a clean pawn. He goes rook d2. And here I was actually thinking about some stalemates because my king is cut off. And if I can give away my rook, I could be a stalemate. But remember, my g-pawn can move. So that's not happening. Rook g8, king d4, rook f8, e3, g4. I'm trying some sort of stalemate tricks. e2, he actually kind of got freaked out that he might accidentally stalemate, so it doesn't even take, which is kind of funny because even though this move is totally useless, like he can take it, he kind of got freaked out, which is I was kind of messing with his mind. But it doesn't matter, I'm still losing. So only now he takes. I go king g3. He goes king c3. I try to bring my king back and maybe hope I can win the pawn or at least get in front of it and then try to draw this with 2 pawns versus 1. And he actually was looking a bit worried here because he thought he had blundered to draw it. So he plays g3 check. I take it. And I was hoping next that I would bring my king back here and then take it and go into a rook pawn where it's a draw. But here he plays the only winning move, king c2. And he's going to support the pawn with his king, not his rook. So I go king f4. He goes king d1. I go king g5. And here it's important that, he can technically promote here. And it's still going to be a winning rook versus my h-pawn endgame. But much more precise and much easier is to just check. Because you defend the pawn, so you don't have to worry about a pawn race or anything like that. So he defends the pawn, and then whenever I move my king, he's going to promote, and I have to sacrifice. And this is just way easier because he keeps his rook. So in this position, I resign. Pretty upsetting loss here. He just outplayed me. That's all I can say. If we take a look at the accuracy, yeah, it was pretty much just a downhill graph. Like, I never was even better. 82.9 to 89.3. I wish I had found the chance to get back in the game with e4, and I wish I had more time to think about it. But, things happen. He just played really well this game, and I can't really do much about that. And I am recording this out very late. The tournament results have come out a long time ago, so I'm going to link those in the description. But I'm going to say that I lost a bit of rating. We're below 2,000. We're at like 1970. And I'm just going to hope that we gain the rating back, maybe with some interest in the next tournament. So stay tuned for more chess events I'm going to play in the future. And yeah, this is a setback, but we're going to get back even stronger and even better past our peak of 2005. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, have a great rest of your day or night. Bye, and don't forget to subscribe.